What's good, fam? We are watching the most pathetic attempt at a comeback in hip-hop history as Drake tries to dig up a persona that Kendrick Lamar already put in the ground. On February 9th, 2026, he chose to leak a snippet of a new track called Sizin Me Up, and it really felt like he was trying to travel back to 2015 to find his pride. This aggressive God energy is clearly a desperate move to shut up the critics, but nobody in the streets is buying this act anymore. Social media users quickly labeled the snippet dated because that particular flow does not carry any weight after the 2024 massacre. Watching a billionaire superstar pretend to be a menace is almost painful when the entire world knows he spent 2 years losing in the studio and in the court of public opinion. The rollout for this ICEMAN album is turning into a chore instead of a major musical event, which is a huge problem for someone who used to dominate every summer. Fans expected a massive Valentine's Day drop to fix his reputation, but February 14th arrived and left without anything except more empty promises on his social media feed. These coming soon captions are losing their impact every single day, and the frustration among his remaining supporters is finally reaching a boiling point. Instead of actual music, an AI-generated song called Soft Proof went viral on Valentine's Day and managed to confuse the entire fan base. People were actually more interested in a computer-generated parody than the real music he is trying to sell, and that shows how Kendrick has closed off his lane. If your own AI clones are pulling more numbers and generating more buzz than your actual leaks, you have to realize the game has moved on without you. While his snippets continue to flop, his celebrity friends are starting to lose their minds in the most embarrassing ways imaginable. On February 15th, 2026, Kevin Durant found himself in a social media meltdown during All-Star festivities while defending Drake in private messages to a fan named Mr. Busby 408 on X. In that viral exchange, Durant allegedly called the fan a goof and asked if his daddy Kendrick had texted him yet. Seeing a legendary billionaire athlete acting as an unofficial PR team during a major NBA weekend is truly wild. Drake needing a basketball player to fight his battles in the DMs proves his tough guy persona is just a fragile facade that is starting to crack under the pressure. The internet is rightfully roasting Durant for this because it shows a level of insecurity that usually stays inside the OVO circle. Durant stayed glued to his phone during the All-Star game events, while burner account accusations trended globally, proving he felt more worried about Kendrick fans than his game. This whole situation suggests that Drake is losing control of his narrative if he has to outsource his defense to athletes who should be protecting their own legacies. You would think a man who claims to be the biggest artist in the world could handle a few comments without calling in a 7-foot reinforcement to bully fans. Drake's behavior makes the ICEMAN rollout look incredibly shaky because the entire team seems to be in a constant state of panic. Pressure is clearly getting to everyone in that camp, and the optics are terrible for a man trying to pull off a monumental comeback. Relying on celebrity favors to keep your name from being dragged shows that the music is no longer doing the heavy lifting. Kendrick constructed a fortress of credibility through his art, while Drake builds a defense squad made of burner accounts and distracted basketball players. The contrast between these two career paths in 2026 is impossible to ignore, and every snippet that flops just makes the gap wider. Drake might think he is sizing up the competition, but the culture only sees a man who is terrified of the reality he created for himself. If this is the best energy he can bring for the ICEMAN era, then the throne he used to sit on is being dismantled piece by piece. Stay tuned because the receipts are getting louder and the defense is looking weaker by the hour. February 8th, 2026 should have been a massive moment for global music, but for Drake, it turned into another high-profile disaster that he could not escape. Bad Bunny made history as the first solo Latino headliner at Levi's Stadium for Super Bowl LX, while Drake reportedly stayed hidden in the crowd to avoid the stage lights. Sources close to the situation say Drake actually turned down a guest spot for the halftime show, which is a move almost no superstar would ever make during a comeback year. Insiders claim he stayed in the stands because he was terrified of being compared to the legendary performance Kendrick Lamar gave just 1 year ago. It is a nasty look when a self-proclaimed giant is ducking the stage because he knows he cannot reach the bar his rival already set. West Coast fans are calling this ducking the smoke, and they are right because a real king does not turn down the Super Bowl over performance optics. Drake chose to be a spectator instead of showing the world his stage presence, and the universe decided to hand him an even bigger loss for his trouble. While the halftime show was rocking the stadium, Drake was busy blowing a $1 million bet on the New England Patriots. The Seahawks ended up winning that game and ruining his night, which turned his $1 million wager into a pile of ashes during a weekend where he should have been asserting his dominance. This whole situation situation is the perfect metaphor for his career right now because he is out here losing money and relevance while everyone else is moving forward. It is one thing to lose a rap beef in the booth, but it is another thing to be so paralyzed by your own reputation that you stop performing on the biggest stages. The fact that he was more focused on a gambling slip than a microphone tells you everything about his current priorities and his fear of the spotlight. This weekend was a clear signal to the industry that Drake is no longer the main character, and he is feeling the weight of that transition every single day. You have to compare that sideline energy to what Kendrick Lamar has been doing lately, especially since K-Dot officially ended the debate on February 1st, 2026. Kendrick walked into the Grammy Awards and left as the most awarded hip-hop artist in history with 27 total wins. By taking home Best Rap Album for GNX and Record of the Year for Luther, Kendrick finally moved past Jay-Z on the all-time list. This is not just about gold trophies on a shelf, because it represents a cultural shift in how the industry views art over streaming numbers. Drake is busy leaking old snippets and asking his basketball friends to defend him in the DMs, but Kendrick is busy collecting the highest honors in music. The contrast between Kendrick's trophy room and Drake's desperate legal games shows exactly who the industry and the Academy are backing right now. One artist is focused on his legacy and his craft, while the other is trying to use lawyers and internal documents to prove that he still matters. Kendrick is not even breaking a sweat while he breaks records that people thought would stand forever, and he is doing it with a level of grace that makes the competition look small. His longtime collaborators like Soundwave and Chef Boy are already teasing a new era that will be even more devastating for anyone trying to keep up. They are hinting at a second project for 2026 that will keep the pressure on Drake and the rest of the industry for the foreseeable future. Kendrick even gave a quote to Chef Boy that has the entire game on high alert, telling him that they have one coming and it is nothing, so they should just say less. That simple sentence is enough to send a chill down the spine of anyone trying to challenge the throne, and it shows the massive mental gap between these two rappers. It is a level of confidence you only have when you know you are operating at a level that nobody else can reach. Right now, the whole game is sitting on a hair trigger waiting for Dot to hit the button, because Kendrick never misses when he decides it is time to talk. While the OVO camp struggles to survive the winter and hunt for a single hit, the PG Lang squad is moving with a terrifying precision to lock down the rest of 2026. Kendrick proved that undeniable music makes everything else fall into place, and those 27 Grammys sitting on his shelf are the only proof anybody needs. Drake can keep his $1 million gambling losses and his sideline seats at the Super Bowl, because the real king is already plotting his next move while the world waits. This difference in their trajectories is a historical narrative that will be studied for years, and Kendrick is clearly writing the final chapters while Drake just struggles to stay relevant. Drake is trying to drag these battles out of the booth and into the courtroom, since that is the only place he thinks he still has a chance to win. As of February 2026, his legal war against Universal Music Group over Not Like Us is buried in the pretrial phase, which looks like a desperate stall for time. The court recently denied a request from Universal Music Group to halt discovery, giving Drake the green light to dig through their files like he is looking for a lottery ticket. Reports say he plans to demand internal documents about how Kendrick landed that 2025 Super Bowl show, which is honestly the most pathetic move a rapper could ever make. Legal experts are calling this a massive fishing expedition because it seems like he is hunting for any tiny scrap of evidence to back up those botting claims. He has not proved a single thing to the fans or the industry veterans, so now he is hoping a judge can find a miracle in some corporate emails. The real problem for the boy is that the actual trial is not on the schedule until the summer of 2026, meaning he is signing up for months of exhaustion. While Kendrick makes history with 27 Grammys on his mantle, Drake will spend his summer in a suit talking to lawyers instead of making hits for the club. It is a sad situation when an artist uses the legal system to try and erase the impact of a record that the whole world already knows by heart. While Drake fights these losing battles in a quiet courtroom, the streets already made their final choice based on the charts and that massive Grammy sweep we all saw. You simply cannot litigate your way back into the hearts of the people once they have already seen you get dismantled on a global stage by a superior lyricist. This legal play feels like the final act of a man who knows he lost the war of words and is now trying to win on a technicality. The contrast between these two icons is obvious to anyone with eyes and ears in the community, and the gap is only getting wider by the day. Kendrick Lamar is moving into the new era of dominance, where his art is celebrated as the absolute gold standard for the entire genre of hip-hop. Drake is stuck in a loop of leaking failed snippets and losing million-dollar bets, while he begs the courts to tell him he is still the top dog. The rollout for this Iceman project looks like a total meltdown every week, and no amount of burner accounts will change the fact that the culture moved on. We are watching the slow decline of a titan who refused to adapt and chose to lash out at the very people who used to be his biggest fans. Kendrick told us exactly what was going to happen, and seeing it play out is a reminder that you cannot buy respect through anything but your craft. Drake is losing for good because he is fighting a battle that ended long ago, and the rest of the world is waiting to see what Kendrick has planned next. It is time to face the music, because the scoreboard is not going to change just because you hired a better legal team to argue about the numbers.